Today, we're going to be talking about Green Bay Packers' third-round draft pick, Marshawn Lloyd, running back from USC. Firstly, I wanted to give a massive shout out to Wilmington, Delaware, where Marshawn grew up, which is actually just a mere 15 minutes away where I live right now. So when I saw his name called on day 2 of the 2024 NFL Draft, I was extremely excited that he's now in the green and gold. Not only is he someone local to me, but the type of player that Marshawn Lloyd is. Not to mention, the story of Marshawn Lloyd is just amazing. From driving nearly 2 hours every single day from Delaware into Hyattsville, Maryland, just to go to high school, to then playing in college at South Carolina for 2 seasons, transferring to USC, and had his best season yet before being drafted by the Green Bay Packers. So in today's video, I want to break down Marshawn Lloyd, go over some of his stats, as well as look at some game film, and show you guys why I think Marshawn Lloyd could be a big weapon for the Green Bay Packers in the future. Of course, the Packers right now have 2 other running backs seemingly ahead of him on the depth chart. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is running back number 1, the free agent they brought in after releasing Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon was brought back on a 4th-year qualifying offer, so he's on the roster for at least 1 more season unless a surprise cut happens. So as it stands right now, Marshawn Lloyd might not see that many snaps year 1, but you see the raw potential, the raw talent, and what he could do for a Green Bay Packers offense, and it's exciting. Lloyd is an extreme athlete, coming in with an 8.62 RAS, standing at almost 5'9", 225 pounds, put up 25 bench reps while also running a 4.46 40, including an impressive 36-inch vertical and 9'10" broad jump. When you take a look at Lloyd's college stats, you see he was a redshirt freshman in 2020. Then in 2021, he played in 12 games but didn't start a single game, had 64 rushing attempts for 228 yards and 1 touchdown. Then in 2022, he saw a lot more action, played in less games, but started 8 of them. Had 111 attempts, 573 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, but was also utilized a lot in the receiving game, 18 receptions, 176 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then in 2023, transferred to USC, played in 11 games, only started in 2 of them, but had more rushing attempts than the 8 games he started in 2022 with 116, had a lot more rushing yards, 820 yards, averaged 7.1 yards per carry in 2023, and again, utilized in the receiving game. 13 receptions, 232 yards, on a 17.8 average per catch as well. I mean, when this guy got the ball in his hands, he simply made plays. Now, he did also have a slight fumbling problem, and that's something that hopefully the Packers and running back coach Ben Sermons will clean up, because outside of that, there are not many flaws in Marshawn's game. Marshawn had 3 fumbles in 2023, 2 fumbles in 2022, and 3 fumbles in 2021. When you look at his PFF grades, you could see the growth over the 3 seasons. Starting at a 49.4 PFF grade as a redshirt freshman in 2021, upgraded then to a 77.9 in 2022, transferred to USC, and had his best graded season of his college career at an 80.8. But something that he has usually struggled with is pass blocking, but when watching the film this last season at USC, a lot of the time he wasn't tasked with pass blocking, and there are a couple reps where he did a good job, but there's also a couple reps where it kind of seemed like he didn't really understand who he was supposed to be blocking, kind of didn't have someone to target. So that's likely the cause of the low pass blocking grades, as you can see up here as well. In some of these games, he allowed 1 sack and 3 pressures. And we know how important pass blocking is to be a running back for the Green Bay Packers. Both Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon did not pass block well in 2023, so it seems like that's just going to be something that Ben Sermons and the Packers coaches really need to hammer down for these running backs, because if you can't pass block, you're likely not going to see the field too much as a late down running back for the Packers. But where Marshawn definitely makes up for maybe not being the best pass blocker on late downs, he's a tremendous receiving threat on late downs. So now I want to go into the game film and break this down for you guys, but before we do so, I want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, Sleeper. Sleeper is offering new users a first-time deposit match up to $100 with code BASS, B-A-S. The link is down in the description. And I will personally pay your first deposit to play on Sleeper up to $10. Simply DM me on Twitter showing that you deposited $10 with code BASS, and I will will personally Venmo you. Sleeper is a daily fantasy sports app where you can choose higher or lower on any specific stat, which then can net you up to 100x payouts. Again, I will pay you guys to play. DM me on Twitter showing proof that you deposited. I will Venmo you the first $10 you used to deposit with code BASS. And like I said, code BASS gets your deposit matched 100% up to $100. So you could basically have a free $20 bet by simply following the steps described. Again, thank you to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. All right, now back to the video. Let's dive into some tape of Marshawn Lloyd. So let's bring up the screen, and firstly, I want to go over the two clips I have of some good pass blocking reps by Marshawn Lloyd. So let's roll the clip here. We see USC in shotgun, and Marshawn Lloyd's going to put a nice block on that linebacker coming downhill and really sealing the edge for Caleb Williams. Now, the play doesn't turn into much, but nonetheless, very impressive block here to diagnose that linebacker coming in on a blitz and then also holding that block, pretty much sealing the edge and allowing Caleb Williams to break outside. Like I said, Marshawn Lloyd wasn't tasked too much with pass blocking. A lot of the time, it was a chip, if anything, and then he'd swing outside to be a check down option for Caleb Williams, at least at his time at USC. So he wasn't tasked with it too much at all. And here's another clip against UCLA. The play kind of flows left as Caleb Williams starts rolling left, and Marshawn Lloyd does a good job at pretty much flowing left as well and laying a big block on that lineman there. I think, unfortunately, that lineman did get hurt, but nonetheless, the block was an effective one on a defensive lineman nonetheless. You see the flow here. He can kind of sense that flow coming and lay a nice hit on a defensive lineman and put him on the ground. Again, unfortunate that guy got hurt, but nonetheless was a nice pass blocking rep by Marshawn Lloyd to kind of assess that his quarterback's rolling left and flow with him left and allow more time to be created. Again, the play amounted to nothing. This happened a lot with Caleb Williams when I was watching this, just a lot of extended plays that kind of ended in nothing, but I'm not watching Caleb Williams, I'm watching Marshawn Lloyd, and that's an impressive block there. And I know I said I wasn't watching Caleb Williams, but man, I had to keep this in here. This is an RPO, and if we're seeing this from the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, which I think we will, ooh man, this was a tough game to watch. USC versus Notre Dame. I was watching it for Marshawn Lloyd, but I don't know if I could pick out 1 to 2 things that I saw from Caleb Williams that I was like, wow, that's pick one of the 2024 NFL draft. And I get it. It's just one bad game. But man, it did not look good for Caleb Williams here. So now I want to show you guys a very interesting rep. It starts off very well for Marshawn here. It's a handoff. He makes a couple guys miss. He cuts and makes that guy miss. But then he decides to kind of do a little bit too much. And I think this is where some of the problems stem from. But more importantly, he's going to end up fumbling here. He's going to cut outside once more when he probably should have just got upfield. And a fumble happens, and UCLA ends up scoring. And UCLA blew out USC in this game pretty much, and obviously this is part of the reason why. Again, it starts off so well. You know, he's a very fast, quick, explosive running back. Put his foot in the ground, make one cut, and usually he makes one cut and gets upfield, but this time just tries to do a little bit too much by getting outside on another cut there and pretty much gets hit the wrong way. Didn't have great ball security here and ended up coughing this one up on the ground. Again, fumbling is definitely one of the issues with Marshawn Lloyd. But again, outside of fumbling, there's not many flaws in his game. And if that can be cleaned up, I think he can easily become the best running back out of this draft class easily. And I want to showcase why. So we just showed a couple pass blocks and then a play that was great and then got worse by every step. But now I want to show you the good from Marshawn Lloyd. I want to show you why I believe he can become the best running back out of this draft class and a great weapon or a great running back for the Green Bay Packers in the future. So here's a play against Utah. It's going to be a handoff out of the shotgun. The Trojans only ran shotgun, a lot of RPOs, but nothing under center in terms of running the ball. Obviously, the Packers have under the center runs, so that much will change, but the Packers also run a lot of RPOs, so it's good that he has a lot of experience with that. But you see this run, just letting the blocks develop. He has nice patience in the backfield where he's not going to instantly run into some linemen. He's going to let the play develop, let those blocks develop, find his running lane, find that hole, put one foot in the dirt and explode. Like I said, he's one of the most explosive running backs out of this draft class, and he has that that next level like gear. Once he kicks that into gear, I mean, this dude flies. You see that 4.46 speed, and honestly, I think he runs faster than a 4.46. I saw a comparison saying he runs like Isaiah Pacheco, just angry at the ground below him, and I love that comparison because I definitely see it with Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, again, the patience here, great blocking, first off, by that outside wide receiver and the lineman, which the blocking wasn't great for USC a lot of the time. It was here, but it was just excellent patience by Marshawn Lloyd and letting this play develop, making that one cut outside, finding that lane and just bursting and pretty much, beating everyone to the end zone. Here's another play where, again, you just see the burst of Marshawn Lloyd and just the top end speed. It's going to be a speed option by Caleb Williams here against Notre Dame, and it's a pretty easy one for him. Again, insane blocking downfield by those wide receivers, but you see the diagnosis of Marshawn Lloyd. Once he gets the ball in his hand, he has terrific ball carrier vision. He sees blocks develop before they happen and knows exactly where to go with the football. Often it was 1 foot in the ground, I'm getting upfield, I'm finding those lanes, and I'm bursting through those running lanes. There are a couple plays like the one fumble play where he kind of did too much, tried to bounce it out too much, but this was the majority. Him simply going north and south, finding the running lanes if the blocks are there, which again, wonderful blocking here. That definitely made this play, but you see the speed to beat that guy around the edge and simply just burst through for the touchdown. So now I have a couple reps in the receiving game. Like I said, he's a great receiving weapon for an offense, and the Packers love to use their running backs in the receiving game, and he averaged over 17 yards per catch in his last season at USC, and you can see why. This is something as simple as just a check down swing pass designed to Marshawn Lloyd, and you see the one cut ability, 1 foot in the ground, and burst. And his ball carry vision, again, you just see it looks like it's in slow motion for him, how he sees the play diagnose. But everyone else at least looks like they're running in mud, whereas Marshawn Lloyd is just bursting through. And this play is another great example of the comparison to Isaiah Pacheco. I feel like this run just looks a lot like Isaiah Pacheco, just mad at the earth beneath him and just bursting through, running by defenders, making them miss, making quick cuts, and getting north and south. I'll let this one play through once more from this angle. Really nice broken tackle there. Really nice cut to the middle of the field. You see just left and right, but he's still moving north and south the entire time, pretty much turning defenders around while doing it. Lloyd is just a weapon with the ball in his hands, to say the least. Here's another catch against UCLA. He really tore up UCLA in the air. In this game, I believe he had over 80 receiving yards. And again, you just see it there. His one cut ability, get the ball in his hands at the outside and let a play develop. Let Marshawn create a play and simply just put the ball in his hands. It's a designed swing screen here, which I like the design. I think the Packers should do more of that. Their screen game has not been good the past couple of seasons, and I think they want to get better at that. I think through Josh Jacobs, through someone like Marshawn Lloyd, they definitely can, as long as they can allow the blocks to develop. I think that was a lot of the issue with the Packers' screen game, at least for the running backs. But just a really nice executed swing pass here by Marshawn Lloyd to get upfield and get his yardage. Now, this is the last clip, but also probably my favorite in terms of a receiving aspect from Marshawn Lloyd. You see he starts at the top here, and it's because just the experience. This looks like a play you would see from a wide receiver, right? So he's tasked with just a flat route here. The play breaks down, and Caleb Williams, basically scrambles left, and Marshawn Lloyd decides to start running upfield, finding that open zone for his quarterback. A lot of the time you see this with wide receivers. You saw it with Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb back in the day with Aaron Rodgers, but you're not used to seeing this from a running back. Usually they would kind of just stay in the flat there and just stand still and be like, hey, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. But Marshawn does a great job at diagnosing this play breaking down, and that linebacker is just flat-footed. And he knows there's no way if I start running downfield, this linebacker is going to be able to catch it up to me, and he doesn't. And then Marshawn Lloyd makes a great catch on a really nice touch pass by Caleb Williams for a massive gain. All the clips, or at least the 3 games I watched, every single time Marshawn Lloyd is thrown to, he came up with the ball. I didn't really see any drops. And he, like I said, he shows prowess as a receiving threat out of the backfield, and you see why. And that's why I see the potential as being a massive weapon for the Green Bay Packers. We know how they love to utilize their running backs, not only as runners, but receivers, whether that's splitting them out wide like they used to do with Aaron Jones, running screen plays. I think that's a perfect entry point for Marshawn Lloyd. Just get the ball in his hands in terms of, say, a tunnel screen on the outside, or a simple, just quick screen on the outside, a running back screen, a swing pass. Get the ball in this guy's hands and let him, make people miss, run hard, get north and south, and be explosive. So that's all the film I have for Marshawn Lloyd. Again, I only have film from his last season at USC and just those 3 games there, but I think all 3 games showed the skill set of Marshawn Lloyd, his running ability, a couple snaps that he did pass block well, and then also his utilization in the receiving game where he pretty much torched UCLA through the air. I think it was an awesome pick there in the 3rd round. A lot of people don't think running back is a need for the Green Bay Packers, but they do an excellent job at getting guys in the building to set themselves up for the future. They seem to have this rotation going where they give a premier running back a nice deal at 26 years old. They let that run 2 to 3 years, then move on to the next premier running back at around that same age. They did that with Aaron Jones to Josh Jacobs, and by the time Josh Jacobs has done his deal, Marshawn Lloyd will be 25 to 26 years old, hopefully in his prime at that point, really accustomed to the NFL at that point, and he likely will be a future starting running back for the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion. Now, like I said earlier, the year 1 outlook might not be that much. He might not get that many snaps. I still see A.J. Dillon receiving more snaps than Marshawn Lloyd year 1. Because Dillon's been in the system, he knows the system, he's a pretty decent pass blocker. He also can be utilized in the receiving game. He has had some drop issues the past couple of seasons, but I still think the Packers want to get Marshawn Lloyd on the field, and he's been super impressive so far through minicamp, through OTAs. It seems like every day that was open to the media, this guy made a play where the media, pretty much said something about it, that, hey, wow, that's a very impressive play. He had some nice screen plays. He had some nice run plays. So already in year 1 as a 3rd round pick, he is showcasing his ability in practice. And I'm really excited to see him when the pads come on, because I think this guy is just a super aggressive, explosive, tough runner. And I'm really excited for the thought of him in this Packers offense for not only this season, but more so the future. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Marshawn Lloyd. What do you see his year 1 outlook as? And do you agree with me that he could be, and probably will be, a future starting running back for the Packers in a few seasons? Let me know in the comments below. But I appreciate you guys coming by to the video. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.